This issue touches everybody in a powerful way. It really does. Think about this. If every one of us wasn't given the gift of life, we wouldn't be here. In the prayer we just heard, the prayer for justice, I would submit to you, I mean, does our nation deserve the justice we pray for if we continue to kill children for the inconvenience that they might bring to our lives? It's just sad. It isn't just because of poverty. Sometimes it's because of gender. Sometimes it's because of a physical malady that the fear that this child might have. There are people here, including dear friends who I have seen time and time again at this rally year in and year out, who suffer physical setbacks that some of us don't, but who live productive and valuable and inspiring lives. Shame on us as a nation. It isn't just thousands a year, it's thousands a day. Thousands a day, about 3,000 children a day in America that we decide are somehow not relevant enough, not important enough, not desired enough by us to allow them the same gift that our mothers gave to us. And we wonder why, when we see what has been happening in our culture, we wonder why these things are happening. I have said recently, and this wasn't my intent to have this conversation with you, but I'm going to speak to you about it anyway. And I hope you understand why. We see these tragic shootings. We see young people taking the lives of other young people in schools in this state and in other states. And we're angry, and we're upset, and we're confused. We want answers. We're outraged appropriately at this sudden, unexpected loss of young life, and yet thousands of young lives are taken every day. And where's the outrage? Where's the outrage? It's not to say we shouldn't be outraged when it happens in schools. We should. We should be. We have every reason to be. But there's no one life that's more valuable than the next. Every one of us is created in the image of God. That's evident. So why should we care more or less about one life over another? We wonder in a culture where we allow, and in many instances some celebrate, the taking of lives before they're born, and why we're in a culture where we allow, in many states, an increasing number of them, for people, many of whom look like some of you in this room, who are on the latter end of life. And we allow governors and legislatures have allowed doctors in those states, doctors who have taken a Hippocratic oath to first and above all to preserve human life, to protect human life, and yet we now have doctors taking the lives before they're born, and we have doctors at the tail end helping people to kill themselves when they get old. We have multiple states where assisted suicide by doctors is now the law. What are we doing as a society? Where is our respect for the sanctity and the dignity and the value of every single human life? Not just in Kentucky, in America, in the world. Where is our respect for human life? Do we deserve justice when we are as unjust as we are? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. It isn't to lay blame or point fingers. This is just an honest question we should ask, because when we don't value life at the beginning or the end, or when it's inconvenient along the way, when we celebrate actually the opposite in lyrics of songs, and in games that children play, and movies that we watch, and television shows that we watch, when we celebrate the opposite of life, rather than rallying for life, we celebrate death. Popular shows when some of us were kids were shows like Mayberry. We remember that. Now, not exactly, didn't win a lot of, I don't know, it wasn't, intellectually deep. But it was, it was wholesome. It wasn't, there was nothing wrong with it. It was, here's the thing now, that a 12-year-old that might have known that, Opie or Barney were up to some kind of shenanigans, that might have been 50 years ago something a 12-year-old would be talking about at school. Now a 12-year-old is in school, And they're talking about somebody with a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire ripping somebody's face off in a television show that they're all watching. That's the kind of stuff. And it's on their TVs every single day and on their personal devices every day. It's not a rally for life. It's a culture of death. That's the reality. That is what's happening in America. And we're numb to it. How many of you had occasion to watch the Olympics? A lot of you. Here's to show you how numb we are to this. I'm not going to name the company because that's not my intent here, but there is a company that was a sponsor and that had a new set of advertisements, a new set of ads that they were using, that they rolled out. First time I'd seen them was during the Olympics. It was a national sandwich chain. And they had this new little edgy kind of little videos and sound track encouraging people to make sandwiches their own way and to do it their way. And I know there are children here, and so forgive the fact, but here was the lyric at the end of this. This was run, all of us watched it, and I wonder if any of you noticed what I noticed. It was this kind of frenetic little and there was a soundtrack, and there was music playing. This was on the weekends and the evenings when families are watching the Olympics. And it was about making your sandwiches your own way, which is great. We're Americans. We love to do things our own way. That's what we do. But at the end of it, and granted it was bleeped out, but the last line of that ad that was jammed into every one of the homes that was watching the Olympics was a line, the last line of which was, "Do what the you want." I bet you didn't even notice it. The reason you didn't notice it is because we have become numb to it. We have a culture that is telling young people, you can do what you like. We don't value life at the front end. We don't value life at the back end. We as parents have abdicated our responsibility for instruction. Our schools have had removed from them the ability to provide the instruction that we were given. We have people outside this state who are suing this state and other states for the fact that people are praying before a football game and cowing people into removing God from the public square and any sense of morality and responsibility, and telling young people you can do what you want and what you want doesn't matter if it affects someone else, because none of this matters, because life doesn't matter. And then we're shocked when young people walk into a school and kill other young people. Really? How are we shocked? We are reaping what we have sown. We are reaping what we have sown. I'm grateful that you're here to celebrate life. How blessed we are to be able to be here, as was noted, to celebrate life. But if we as the adults in this room, if we as the leaders of this state and of this nation, if we don't take seriously the responsibility we have individually and collectively for preserving and protecting this culture, we will see it crumble into oblivion. We have a responsibility as adults to protect our young people. We have a responsibility to protect them physically. We have a responsibility to protect them emotionally. We have a responsibility, frankly, to protect their innocence. And we have seen a degradation of all the above in large measure because we have become apathetic, and it is the greatest danger we have. And the reason that things like the culture of death that has led to the killing of millions, 50+ million since we legalized the ability to kill an unborn child. The reason this exists is because we've allowed it to happen. Nations come and go. They rise and fall. They always have throughout history. Borders move because of conflict and people fighting. But wars and fighting don't destroy civilizations and cultures. Civilizations and cultures crumble from within. They crumble from within. And they crumble from within because we, the adults, the people on the wall, the vanguard, the people in positions of leadership and responsibility, because we allow it to happen. This is our responsibility. We have a responsibility. There is no one rule, one law, one decision that is going to fix what ails us. We didn't get here overnight. We're not going to get out of it, but we're not going to get out of it at all, overnight or otherwise, if we don't step up. And we owe these young people that are sitting on the floor here, and other young people that are gathered around and up above, and the young people that are not here in this rotunda, some semblance of the America that we were blessed to be given. And we have a responsibility. So we better step up. Because it is the luxury we have in America of being so comfortable and so wealthy and so blessed on so many fronts that we can afford to not care. And that's what we're doing. We stopped our caring. We need to look out for our young people. We need to look out for one another. We need to love our neighbor as ourselves. We need to do unto others as we would have done to ourselves. These are remarkably timeless. It's almost as if the source of those is from some authority higher than our own. Imagine that. Imagine that. In a nation like ours that was founded on these principles, that was made great on these principles, that still, despite the underpinnings starting to crumble, stands on these principles, is in danger of collapsing for lack of respect and appreciation and a rigorous defense of these principles. So I would ask every single man, woman, and child, frankly, underneath this dome, everybody who's watching this, everybody that might listen to this, go out of this place with a renewed sense of vigor and enthusiasm and encouragement to do what's right. I pray for my children for two things. I pray that my children will know the difference between what is right and what is wrong. It's not easy for you young people. The world is sending you a lot of mixed messages. And on these, whether it's sandwiches or blue jeans or anything else, we're sending you a whole lot of messages about right is wrong and in is out and up is down. It's nonsense. And it's hard without adults pouring into you, and I'm guessing you probably do or you wouldn't be here, but without adults pouring into you to tell you otherwise. Pew recently did a study. A full third of children say they have no interaction with any of the parents in their home, if they even have parents in their home. Their parents have no idea what they're learning in school or don't seem to care. That's what a full third of children believe. We're not doing enough. If we want to rally for life, it's more than coming together at one time under one rotunda in one moment to celebrate one issue and then go back to what we're doing. We had better step up because America is in trouble. America's in trouble. Yesterday at this time, I was underneath a larger rotunda in Washington, D.C. as the elected officials in the House and in the Senate and all the appointed administrators and the cabinets and the president and the vice president of the greatest nation on earth, the United States of America, were all gathered in a circle just like this. And in the middle of this circle was a simple pine box. And in that box lay a man who lived 99 years dedicated to the very things we're talking about, who was unapologetic and was bold and was willing to speak the truth when he was mocked and ridiculed, when he was agreed with or disagreed with. And yet the nation's largest, the most powerful nation on earth and its elected officials were now gathered 24 hours ago in honor of this man. Why? Because he did what I'm asking you to do. He stood up and he was bold. And I'm asking you to stand up and be bold. Because the difference throughout the trajectory of history is more than you might ever know. I mentioned that I pray for my children that they'll know the difference between right and wrong. But I pray additionally for something else. It's my prayer and my challenge to each and every one of you as well. That in addition to knowing the difference between what's right and wrong, and don't kid yourselves, there is right and there is wrong. And in addition to knowing the difference between what's right and wrong, my prayer for my children is that they will have the courage to do the right thing. That's the bigger challenge. So often we know what's right. We know it intuitively. Despite what people in popular culture might tell us, we know what's right. And we know that the abortion industry is an abomination to America. It is. We know that to be true. But I will say, to know what's right is sometimes the easiest thing. I pray for each and every one of you that you will have the boldness and the conviction and the willingness to unapologetically stand for what you know to be right. That you will have not just the ability to discern what's right, but that you will have the courage to do what's right. We owe nothing less to the generation that is to follow. Thank you very much.